Facebook. And we're live on all three, as we always are. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're live on all three. However you want to consume it, we're giving it to you. All right? We are live. It is a new show, Monday to Friday, bringing you news that's going to keep you informed, engaged, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business, investment, and entrepreneurial activity. Today is the 27th of August. Let's talk about it. All right? Announcements. Listen, if you haven't checked out our recent video where we were hanging out with Naomy and Pierre and checked out an event that she was a special guest of and seeing these kids in the water. And then our follow-up with Shoo'Midou Natation, which was a team of instructors, two sisters who have taught over 600 Haitians how to swim. If you haven't watched that episode yet, stop what you're doing and go check that episode out and share it too, because the message is very important. We got to get more Haitians in the water. We got to get more folks to be able to swim, because there's just too many drowning deaths that have occurred, and so we gotta, change that narrative. So let's take a look at that video and do share it. It's probably one of my most important videos I've produced from because it can save lives. Right? It's not just promoting a venture. It's about saving the lives of young Haitians. Right? So we're gonna check that video out. All right. So we're gonna talk about the news story. It's a very important news story. The chief of police is out. He's out. He's not there, right? And we got to talk about it, because right now, those who have family in the country, who follow news sources closely, there's a big bout of insecurity right now going on all over the country. Well, in pockets, specifically, in particular pockets that have always been notoriously troublesome, but there's been a very uptick in that sort of in those areas, especially as the UN is departing. We've seen an uptick of folks just, Kenal David, good morning, over on YouTube. We've seen a very, pardon my French. We're gonna get to that. Over on IG, we got some comments going. Good morning, folks on IG. Appreciate you. And so right now, we're seeing an uptick of gangs, right? In those certain pockets have always been troublesome, right? The rest of the country, PV, Centralville, I'm telling you, there's not anything I'm feeling, and most of the population aren't feeling. But unfortunately, the population that is most vulnerable right now is feeling the worst of the insecurity of the country. And it's a lot of people are questioning, why now? Why are we seeing a change of direction right now, when it's so important to have stability, right? And so again, the news is that Jovenel, Michael Ange Gideon, who was the former chief of police, his contract ran out, and he was not going to have his contract renewed by Jovenel. Monsieur Gideon was put in place by Privé. Before that, Michel, and worked there, but unfortunately also didn't renew his term when it came up, and so he sat on the sidelines for a little bit, and then was renominated by Privé, and now Jovenel is deciding not to continue with Gideon. The reasons are questionable. The resources are stating that they didn't like how he acted during a time of protest. Jovenel wanted much more, a lack of passivity. He felt Gideon was pretty passive in how he was dealing with the protesters, is what one source is saying. Certainly, others just saying he just never really meshed well with Gideon, and so he's out. And some of the folks who were potentially going to have been nominated or in the mix is one fellow by the name of Normel Lamao and another fellow by the name of Noel Nazir. Now, Normel Lamao is the former head of the CPG. The CPG, for folks who don't know, is kind of like the FBI in a sense. They do much more investigative work at a higher level. And Noel Nazir was the former head of the prison system. And we have a commenter here on my IG who said, part of my French, who says that Normel Ramio is his or her uncle. So, Haiti is a very small world, very small town, believe me. And so it's interesting to have a family member of potentially someone here watching live, right? So that's great. And so what have been Gideon's accomplishments while he's been in office, right? Certainly, we all very recently we had Gideon arrest Arnell Joseph. Arnell Joseph being a very notorious gangster, bandit, Bunzi, that was first terrorizing that one specific pocket of Martissan, Port Léogane, that sort of area there. But then when things got hot, he went over to Haiti Bonite, and that's where Arnell's team arrested him after some back and forth, some previous failed attempts. But in any case, they got him, and that was great. It was also under Gideon that Guy Philippe was arrested, right? And again, that's debatable of appropriateness, how things went down, but it was very known that Guy Philippe dabbled in the drug trade, right? And folks can add any additional sauce to that they may want. Was the CIA involved? Blah blah blah. That's the facts on the ground is he dabbled with drugs, and that's a crime, and he got arrested for it, and it was under Gideon. And other notable things, again, certainly under Gideon, we had considerably the reputation for the police went up in terms of lack of, there wasn't much talk of corruption under the police. I mean, have I gotten stopped and I've had to shoot 100 good for the guy to buy some prestige to leave me alone? I'm not saying has happened or didn't happen. I'm not saying that level of day to day isn't happening, but in terms of the higher level, deep corruption that has occurred in the past, in terms of big criminals being let go or not being prosecuted, or a direct politicization of the police department, that has very clearly not happened as much under Gideon, right? In fact, you can say it went in the other direction while Gideon was in office. And so, and the international community had a lot of respect for him, even internally. We had police officers the police community had a lot of respect for Gideon as a no-nonsense, clean shooting police chief. So there's a lot of players who wanted Gideon to stay and continue and provide that stability. But Jovenel disagreed. Listen, Jovenel is right to add someone who he feels will more closely do the things he envisions. Like him or hate him, guys, Jovenel is the president. He can do that. And the critique, of course, is really is appropriate. Now, it hasn't all been, sunshine and flowers and daisies, right? Now, under Gideon, we did see the La Saline massacre happen, okay, which was, for folks who don't know, there was a rival gang that went to La Saline, which already is a very gang-infested area, and countless people were murdered in this very, very, very poor area of Haiti. And it was very heinous. The things I won't repeat. If you guys are interested, you guys can go and Google what happened. In very heinous ways that people were killed during a siege. It was almost a 2-day thing. It was just a complete siege. and that happened under Gideon, right? And the most critical aspect of that event was the response. The response was very slow. The response was for some people was very lazy, and only recently were there some arrests. At least say that there were some arrests, and they're still looking for some more people who were involved in that. But overall, there was, but again, we can't put that on Gideon totally. To this day, the president Jovenel Moise has yet to actually even acknowledge that event to happen, right? So we're not putting it on him, but nonetheless, as the chief of police, it happened on his watch, and the response was very lackluster, right? So we got to recognize that happened under his watch. And again, in general, just the increased lack of insecurity in certain pockets. So some folks can argue things would have been worse if it wasn't Gideon there. Things would have been worse if Gideon wasn't there to put his style of policing. I guess we'll see. The person who replaces him, will be keeping a very close eye on how those pockets of problems in Haiti are being pacified, if at all, right? Obviously, if we see things get worse, then I think a lot of folks will be saying, "Hey, we really want to get him." You'll see, I think one of those sayings, people don't appreciate you till you're gone, and so we're certainly going to see very quickly whether or not Gideon was doing a genuinely value-added role that others couldn't provide, right? So let me just read some of the comments. We've got a lively debate here going on IG. I appreciate the comments as always. Le General en Chef says, in order to have peace and stability, you should have a strong man in every country, not a dictator, but a strong man. He mentions Papa Doc, Arnold Joseph's family turned him in. Guy Philippe arrest was politically motivated conspiracy. Every Haitian needs to arm themselves to protect their livelihood. So, all right. Appreciate the comments. I agree with the very first statement that Gideon Chef made, which was, it is important to have peace and stability, and it is very important that we have someone in leadership position who takes that serious. Whether or not Jovenel is that person, I don't know. It seems the parliament really has the power in the country, which is really not appreciated much. How much power the parliament has in the country. It's very much a parliamentally run country, and they've done a pretty good job of not allowing Jovenel to do much of anything. And so I can't really say how much Jovenel feels one way or another, just because we haven't really seen much in terms of what he's been able to do. But yes, I agree with Le General Chef to some degree. Joel Cruz, what's up? Appreciate you. No, we appreciate you. This channel can only exist if it's watched. So Joel Cruz, I appreciate you. And then Adam Narcisse, appreciate you as well, brother, for popping in, making your presence known. Samuel Lammy just popped in, said something. Yeah, to go. Crime has increased tremendously over the past couple of years. Sammy, you know what? I can't argue. There has been an uptick in well, it depends what crime you're talking about, right? I don't think thefts, thefts. I think Haiti still remains. Let's be clear, in the Caribbean, Haiti remains one of the safest countries. When you look at just about every metric, theft, homicide, actions against tourists, people visiting, against every metric, right? Even domestic homicides back and forth. Haiti is the safest, and I can provide links. Folks who follow me on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I've provided articles and links in the past that have shown Haiti is not one of the safest in the Caribbean. Right? So let's be clear when we talk about crime and increase. So let's be clear on that. But yes, we have seen an increase in certain pockets of the country of gangs and criminal activity. But it can be argued that a lot of that is correlated with the leaving of the UN and the security that the UN were providing. And now the question is, can the police National d'Haïti, can they step up? Can they fill the void that the UN, who's leaving, can provide? And a lot of gangs are seeing, when there's a void, gangs will try to step in. And so, we're still waiting to see the PNH to influence and put in their muscle to say, hey, nula, there's going to be law and order here. None of that. We're still waiting for that, right? We got Pierre Paul on YouTube. Peace and stability can only be achieved via investments, jobs, security, electricity. We're not the only country going through this nightmare, and we can achieve greatness. You know what? I love that comment by Pierre Paul. I really do, because he's on the nose. And Gideon, in fact, has been on record saying, listen, security is a joint effort. Like, security isn't just the police. Like, security comes from multiple places. It comes from having, these people who are doing crimes having alternative opportunities that are available to them. You don't fight crime, and this is true in America. And you see what's going on in Chicago right now. You see what's going on in Baltimore. You see what's going on in all these hot pockets in America, St. Louis, etc. And you try to fight it with the militarization of police. It doesn't work that way. History has shown that the way you fight crime is providing criminals opportunities outside of crime, right? You allow it easier for a criminal or someone who's been to jail and served their time to reintegrate into society. And then even the pre-crime stuff, you want to make sure you cut the pipeline off. And so you provide schools, you provide job opportunities, you provide a quality of life. And 9 times out of 10, that criminal won't go into crime, right? And certainly Haiti has failed in that tremendously. And so, again, how much you can really put on Gideon, I don't know, right? But appreciate that comment, Pierre Paul. Jacques George on YouTube says, in the face of all the insecurity, which has literally paralyzed the economic activities and tourism in the South, I would like to see you do a show on the need for an airport in Okai. Yeah, there really does need to be an airport in Okai, because I've driven to Jeremy before, and it's a long drive, man. And, it would be nice to be able to hop on a plane and just, pop out over in Okai. I think certainly once the airport, there's been talks of airport being, there's an airport there already, and actually there's actual activity happening to grow the airport. I know folks who own land around the airport, and they've been approached to have their land purchased, and there's activity happening. And so that's already happening. And so certainly once it's been done, once the airport has been completed, I definitely certainly would love to be able to do an episode out there and show that off, right? And so I agree with you. There definitely needs to be, that progress needs to happen quicker. And certainly once I can show it off, I will. Jacques George, appreciate that comment. Adam Narcisse, yes, we're in the U.S. Mass shootings happen almost every day. You know what I mean? But yet, Jamaica, DR, there's a string of homicides of U.S. citizens. Yet, no, I don't hear anybody really canceling their trip to DR, right? But I think I've talked about this before, and Adam, you already know my opinion on that. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. One of the reasons why Seejeanty is here doing what it's doing. It's because there's a lack of control of narrative. It's CNN that's showing the image of Haiti. It's Fox News that's showing the image of Haiti, but it's not any Haitians who can show the full picture, which is why we're here. And I appreciate everyone who watches, who subscribes, who comments, because you guys are part of that change that can help push that narrative in a different direction. Joel Cruz says, what's the current situation? The tourism industry is getting better. What do you think the price strategy to bring more students in, tourists in? Things are improving. I can say that things are improving. It's very far away from where it needs to be. Things are improving. And I'll talk about it in much more detail once we have a new story that sort of brushes that. But the short answer is things are getting better. And one of the things strategies that's needed is, again, as I just mentioned, this, when I drop a video, especially the on location sort of videos, share it, tell your friends about it, right? Because that's one of the things that's going to drive tourism back, is sharing the other side of what's going on in the country, right? And then really the big thing that's hurting us now today. It's always something, but what's hurting us today is the fact that there's less flights. American Airlines, for example, just recently decreased their flights. JetBlue also recently decreased their flights. So those things are really, hurting the touristic opportunities. But we'll talk about more of that once I have a new story more relevant. So we got Ken David. Overall, MGA did a good job in maintaining law and order. Mikhail Gideon, right? And giving our small police force in the country the high level, given the high level of corruption in the government, and the country has been relatively safe. I agree with you, Kenal, and I appreciate that comment, my brother. Over on IG, we have Haiti keeps. No, there's records, my brother. It just says there's no records of occurring. So that's false. There are record keeping being done. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to report on crime figures, right? You may choose not to believe it. That's your perspective, but there are, for example, each commissariat is like the local police station in every community. When something happens, and whatever it may be, you folks go to the commissariat to report it. They do a déclaration. Now, those stats are funneled to, up the chain through the actual minister. I'm trying to remember. Follow up with me. But DCPG also holds stats, which is again the FBI. They also hold stats of the activity they do, and those stats are then reported across the board. So let's not go that too far to say we don't have it. That's nonsense. Of course, there's crime stats recorded. Anyways, so yeah, I appreciate the comments. Whether or not I agree with them or not. And I went a little over today, but that was because we had a lot of comments, a lot of folks who were responding, and I again appreciate. I wish more episodes are like this. So again, if you like what we're doing here, you already know. Leave a comment, share it, share the videos on your network so we can have more engagement, more conversations, more educational experiences. Again, pretty soon here, we may be changing venues. In fact, I got a meeting later today with Banj FM to figure out some last few technical issues that were slowing us down, and then maybe sometime this week or for sure next week we'll be broadcasting a different venue. So look forward to that. And again, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe, follow on Facebook. I'm on IG. Hit that subscription there too. And until we're back at it again, guys. We're back at it again. Peace.